but Ram had the worst teeth, don't you think? These are much worse than knobs, and these are worse than... I had this little snaggletooth out here, and Lita used to try to kiss me with it. You know, can you understand what I'm saying? I'll do one thing that goes with the teeth, and that is... Mookie. Well, it's hard to talk with the teeth in your mouth. So if I open up the back of my throat and just try to overpronounce everything in the front, then that seems to work. Otherwise I kind of talk like that, and I don't think you're understanding me as well what I'm saying, right? So it has to come from back there. That's what I think. So the teeth kind of make it all. It's kind of like what Armin was saying last night about why, you know, Clark is the teeth and the makeup and the lights and the set and everything, and it comes out of being Ram, you know, just all that stuff goes together, and he's a little slow too, so that helps to make him a little slow. It all goes together. I think it was the second episode of Next Generation that I did, that these broke. A technician knocked them off a chair and they broke. So I put on them, I am Ram's teeth. I thought about we are Ram's teeth.
The wisdom of Max Redemption. Thank you. The question is, what is the status of the actors' negotiations? For those of you who are not aware, I am a national board member of the Screen Actors Guild, which means that it's my responsibility to take care of the 104,000 members of the Screen Actors Guild. I'm also honored to be one of the 13 negotiating members in the contract that's being negotiated between the Screen Actors Guild presently with the producers. They are represented by an organization called the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers, AMPTP. It has been in your news on and off. For a while there, you were listening to the writers' negotiations. Those ended well on May the 4th. Our contract expires June the 30th. I'm presently in negotiations. In fact, the moment I get off the plane on Sunday, I go back to conferences for that negotiation. We have 2 more weeks of negotiations. They are going. The analogy that we like to use about it, I will tell you this, which I'm not supposed to, but I am under the illusion that there will not be an actor's work stoppage come July the 1st. But the process, as I've been told, because this is my first time going through this, my wife has done this twice. She's also a member of the negotiating team. It's a lot like being pregnant, she says. You're pregnant for 9 months, but all the work is in the last 10 minutes. So I'm waiting for June the 30th to see what happens. Thank you for asking, and hopefully your prayers are with us.
I think, just as with the, if I can add just one thing, I think as with the writer's strike, it started to become more and more national news.
Let me correct you, because it's Max, and I'm only correcting you because I want everybody else to understand this. There was no writer's strike.
Always with the writers.
There was only a writer's negotiation. There is no actor's strike. There is only an actor-producer negotiation.
I just want to say that as we come more and more down to the wire, we have about 14 days left, that you'll hear more and more, you may hear more and more about how things are proceeding. What are we working on?
The question is, what are we working on and what do we have coming out soon?
Well, I don't...
Tell them how many languages you've been studying in the last 6 months.
It's been a good week for me. Armin works all the time, but it's been a good week for me. I had 2 jobs this week, and I did a CD-ROM, I meant to bring it with me so I would know exactly what I should call it in case you asked, and I don't. I did a CD-ROM. I did 3 voices on CD-ROM. It's a Star Trek CD-ROM that'll be out in the next 6 months sometime, I think. And I did a commercial for the California Lottery on Thursday. And we both had flights around midnight, and it was questionable whether I would make the flight. But they let me out. We got out in plenty of time. So, and that was the first commercial since I had. The last commercial I shot was the day before the last commercial strike. That actually was a strike, so I can say that. That was April 30th of last year, so it's been a long time, but I did do another commercial. And it's actually quite funny, so we'll see how it works out.
For myself, I have primarily been involved with these negotiations, so I've been doing that mostly. I have been fortunate enough to become a recurring character. I haven't appeared yet. I think my first episode is July the 6th on The Invisible Man, which plays on cable. I will also be in one of the first episodes of a new Fox show called The Tick.
Yeah.
Terror. And I think I told you this, Max. I had so much makeup on. I had 2 people working for 3.5 hours to put this makeup on. On the 3rd day of work, I was in tears, literally crying from the amount of makeup I had on, plus the hours. And I thought to myself, if I can't take this, who can? But it was pretty bad. But those 2 things, and glad you mentioned it. Besides being an actor and a union activist and a teacher, I teach sometimes. I teach Shakespeare sometimes. For those of you who haven't seen this, perhaps most of you know the Star Trek novel, which is, thank you, The 34th Rule. Which David and I wrote, which has to do with the theme of prejudice that I thought was inherent, say the consonants, inherent in Star Trek. Very proud of that. But actually this was written first. This is called The Merchant Prince, which is not a Star Trek novel, although there are little sort of Star Trek jokes inside of it. It's a serious science fiction novel, and this came out last July. The sequel to this, and the paperback edition just came out this month. The hardback did so well that it came out paperback. And the sequel to this, I just finished at the end of April. So The Merchant Prince 2 will be coming out soon in your bookstores in your local neighborhoods. Please buy it. I know I'm prejudiced, but a lot of people told me it's a very exciting read. It moves pretty quickly. In fact, it ends a little too quickly. But it puts together 2 of my passions, science fiction and Elizabethan literature. So I hope you'll get a chance to read this. And certainly,
Hold up that cover. A very handsome portrait on the cover of that, whoever that is. It's a very handsome portrait. If you can come get a closer look at it later.
Thank you, Max. Next question. Yeah.
Yeah, you did.
The question is about my experiences on Beauty and the Beast. Long before I was part of the Star Trek franchise, I was working in science fiction in Beauty and the Beast, a wonderful, wonderful show starring Ron Perlman as the Beast and Linda Hamilton as the Beauty. It was a great, great experience. It was a very literary show. There were lots and lots of literary allusions. And I'd always been fascinated with what's the French? The French film, the myth that it's based on.
Oh, La Belle et
La Belle et la Bête, the Beauty and the Beast. And so it was great fun, and it was my apprenticeship. I had done a lot of theater before getting seduced by the dark side of the Force. And that was the first time I was a recurring character on any show. And I learned to act in front of the TV camera by watching Ron Perlman, who was a consummate, he is a consummate actor. And how he was able to do it under all those layers of rubber, I haven't the faintest idea. He had incredibly expressive voice and eyes. And in fact, on the day, or the day after, that I was offered Quark in Deep Space Nine, I called Ron up and said, Ron, how did you survive all that makeup for 2.5 years? And Ron, who always speaks very quiet, whispering voice, said, Armin, think of the money. But I met wonderful actors there. It was a great, great experience. And I was very lucky to be part of it. Right. The comment is absolutely true. When asked which of the characters that I've played over the years is closest to me, Pascal, that I played in Beauty and the Beast, is absolutely as close to Armin as you can get. Quark, Snyder, they're all wonderful characters, but they're a long way from Armin, at least in my opinion. Anyway. Yeah. The question is, what do I think about the future of acting now that there is computer-generated figures? It's a very good question, and I'll make it a short answer because it's very much a union question. There is a threat that actors will be computerized and will not be giving performance so much as giving their faces, and then the designers of the computer graphics will be able to manipulate actors' likenesses into performance. It's a great threat to the acting community. It's already being done in the background. Many films where there are large background scenes, those background people, which are making anywhere from $70 to $100 a day. It's a lot, but remember, you don't work every day. A lot of those large background scenes are all computer generated. Those people at the Washington Monument, for instance, in Forrest Gump, when they're all watching the speeches, most of them are computer generated. And so what's happening is our background community, the people who starve practically to work in background, both for film and TV, are having their jobs taken away from them. So it's very much a threat. Thank you for asking. Yeah. Reality programming is also a threat to the acting profession, and in fact, during our negotiations, or actually before our negotiations, we were getting a lot of signals from the networks saying that, guys, strike, go ahead, we don't need you, we'll put on reality programming. We know that that's a hollow threat. The problem with reality programming, sorry, I'm getting into union stuff. I understand I've been there for a year. The problem with reality programming for producers is it plays well the first time and people will watch it in droves, but you can't get a replay. Nobody will see it a second time. Star Trek, we're already on our 15th rerun, and people will watch it over and over and over again. That generates money for producers. Reruns for reality programming doesn't work. So it's a hollow threat. Thank you. For those of you who couldn't hear, I want to repeat this simply because the lady's kind enough to say that she would rather watch well-written, well-trained actors do performances over the other. Thank you. The question is, are either Max and I going to be in the Next Generation movie? I think it's too early to know. I know when Michael Piller was writing the last film, I wasn't sure that I was going to be in the film until like about 2 months before they started shooting it. And I don't believe they're going to even think about shooting this until Christmas time. I may be wrong on that. So I think it's a little too early to know. But the truth is, I don't think so. But it could happen. Yeah. the makeup that us guys wear heavy or hot or something? And Max says yes. It's not heavy, not per se. Although, I don't know about you, but when I had a hard week, I always had to see the chiropractor. But hot, yes. Chiropractor, yes, yes, yes. See this lady, she'll take care of it. I get you a lot of patients here. But hot, yes, very hot. Claustrophobic. We had a number of actors who had to be ripped out of makeup because it was too claustrophobic for them.
And Armin had it much worse than I did. I got to give him credit there. When they started Deep Space Nine, because Quark was a regular Ferengi, series regular, and they were going to be shooting him a lot, they covered his the bottom of his back of his neck, back of his head, down. The makeup came all the way down and got glued in here. And that's because they found in shooting over the years that at certain angles, hair showed through. And that, what's that? What? Hair showed through. So for the first few seasons, I was given makeup that ended here. There was air that went up there, and it was delightful. Oh, it was so nice. But then they finally said, we're seeing hair showing through, so we're going to have to patch that and cover it over with a little piece, and so it started to get hotter and hotter.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I must say, some actors did get lost in the makeup. It's a little hard to get beyond because it has to really come from the eyes and the attitude in your personality and the way you approach the role. We were fortunate enough to be over actors, so we could the makeup just mutes us down a little. I teach at a lot of the schools around Los Angeles. I've taught at UCLA, the High School of Performing Arts, a number of theater groups. When I have time, it was a passion of mine to, Max actually attended one of my lectures at the Valley College in the Valley. I love teaching Shakespeare. It's what I used to do when I was a legitimate actor. And it's a great passion of mine. They're not all wonderful. Some of them are rotten. But there's a number of very good plays. If you ask me my very all-time favorite play, I guess my answer would have to be Twelfth Night. I really think Twelfth Night is a perfect play. Any questions over here? Don't you guys want to ask anything? Yeah. Well, understand that the question is, how did J.G. Hertzler, and even more than J.G., Mark Alino played 5 roles on Star Trek. The producers know that in certain roles, when you're so covered up with makeup, and that you're not going to be recognizable, and Max may be right that my makeup was harsher than his, but without a doubt, the Cardassian makeup was the worst of them all. And so J.G. was covered up a lot, and they allowed it. Also, you know, within a series, it's possible to play different parts because the producers love certain actors. They love them. And so they're going to say, you know, we're going to let you do something else. But to cross over from series to series is a little harder. And although the franchise loves Max, he's really one of the most beloved actors on the franchise, we didn't really work with Brandon Braga, and he's in charge of Enterprise. So you can't possibly love Max as much as Ira Behr. There you go. Yeah. Oh, what's up? Here's over the baby, I'm sorry. Are Are you seeing anyone currently?
So I can't answer that. That's sort of, I can't answer that.
The answer?
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead. I haven't written any Shakespeare. I've tried.
Yeah. Oh, he said like he fired that he already did.
Oh, my question is, what's my favorite Shakespearean character? That's easy, Richard III. So I really think it's a great part. So I haven't played it yet. I played a lot of the other roles in Richard, but not Richard. So, yeah. Yes. Magnificent Ferengi. It was great. I had a great time. You're not going to agree with me, but business as usual. Business as usual was my favorite because when, and I'll let you answer this question, that's closer to the Quark that I always wanted to see. The businessman who was trying to do something a little devious and found out that he was in over his head and was actually involved in a business adventure. If you really think about it, how often did you really see Quark honestly trying to do black market stuff? Maybe in the first season, a couple of episodes. But as the seasons progress, okay, every now and then he might have tried to overcharge somebody at the bar. It's possible. But even those, I don't think you saw that often. And it's why I wrote the 34th rule. You assume the Ferengi are nefarious because people have told you that over and over and over again. But how can you even think of that when you've got Ron's character? When you've got Aaron's character? Those are Ferengi too. Those are honorable, loving people. Why do you assume the entire race has to be a certain way when obviously individuals are different? So I like business as usual best because it dealt with Quark living up to what I think originally Michael Piller wanted the character to be. So I like that one the best. Although there were lots of fun episodes, I had a great time working with everybody. And certainly Magnificent Ferengi was a hoot. I looked around at these sort of, I think it was 8, was it 8? 7, it could be, it had to be 7, right? It had to be 7. So I looked around at these 6 other guys who were incredibly funny, who had me in stitches all day long. And I realized those guys are the funny guys. I'll let them be funny, I'll enjoy it, and I'll play the straight man too. But it was a great episode, thank you.
What was the question? You know, what was the question? My favorite Frank, you know, there's so many categories of this. There's my favorite writing, there's the favorite one I like to watch, there's the one I had, certainly the one I had the most fun on, I think, was the Magnificent Ferengi, because when you're wearing that makeup, I mean, I think whoever's sharing that experience with you, you get close to. So we were always close because of that. But when you have 7 people who look like you, you know, going through the same process you're going through, and that was an 8-day episode. We shot that for 8 days in a row, every day, starting early in the morning till late at night. That was an experience. And when, I forget his name, but man, he couldn't say Ishka. You know, we're trying to say Moogie, whose name is Ishka. And he knew Moogie, but he couldn't remember Ishka. And every time he said, let's do it for Ipka. And it was like take after, let's do it for Urka. Let's do it. It was so funny. I mean, how old did you? It's great. I had the most fun shooting that episode. My favorite episode to watch, I think, is Little Green Men. But I didn't like the way the guy who directed Little Green Men, Jim Conlon, I did not like the way he directed it, and I was sure it was going to be a bad episode, and then I saw it, and I thought it was wonderful. And an episode that I like all the episodes. An episode I love, I don't know, I have a special affection for House of Quark. I just thought, because that was Ron Moore wrote that, and I just think he's a great writer. So, we'll end with those three.
It wasn't several. The question is, how did I feel about the several episodes where I had to portray females? Luckily, there was only one. Oh, that's right. I take it back. You're absolutely right. I did do one of Dax's prior lives. It was a great challenge. I did a lot of research. I actually, what I mean by that is I rented out 2 films that I thought were entirely different about men portraying women. One was Some Like It Hot, and one was Tootsie. And I realized they were very much apart in the way they approached the performance. Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis did it with a wink in their eye. You always knew that that they were men playing women. You always knew that. They never pretended. They just, we call it a wink in their eye, which means that we're letting the audience in on the gag. Whereas Dustin Hoffman in Tootsie, there are moments in Tootsie where you can believe that he's a woman. At least, perhaps women can't believe it, but I could believe it. And as I watched both of those pictures, I had to choose as an actor which style that I wanted to go with. And I finally tried to actually opt for the Dustin Hoffman performance, even though that particular episode is a comedic performance. I really tried to be as female as I could be within the parameters of the show. And I tried also to do that when I played, I can't remember which of Dax's past lives I played. Which one? Audra, thank you. It was an acting challenge. And though it came out comedic, as always, I always approach comedy through seriousness. So that's the way I do it. Other people. How much ribbing did I get? I got a lot of ribbing. I do remember every man, woman, and child in a mile radius from me needed to squeeze my chest. It's incredible. Anyway, I took a lot of ribbing, and yeah.
I remember you were sitting in a makeup chair, and I said, look at those things. And you said, Max, you wouldn't believe how many different kinds of people have touched these things. I remember you said that. I really don't remember it. But, oh yeah. All the way in the back. How many years did we work on Deep Space Nine as brothers? 7. Max was in the pilot episode, although at that time Ron didn't have a name. He was simply the pit boss. The pit boss. And although Max can tell the story much better than I can. Max and I met during the audition process. For those of you who don't know, Max was, in my opinion, the second choice for Quark. Max auditioned for Quark right alongside me. We were both auditioning for the role. So we met during the audition process.
Yeah, I could have had a swimming pool.
That pool is empty today, and it's costing me $5,000 to fill it.
Oh, yeah.
7 years. Dave wants us to wrap it up, so I'll take 2 more questions, and then we gotta go. Yeah. Oh my God. The same film. For those of you who can't see in the back, Two more questions. How was working with the Seinfeld cast? Although it's a wonderful show, although it's enormously funny, incredibly successful, and the world adored it, and I adored it when I watched it as a viewer, it was the worst experience I've ever had in my life. It was so demeaning. They treated me incredibly badly, and over the course of years I've mentioned this to other actors who have been on the show, and they have said to me as well, incredibly demeaning rehearsal period. And I'm not putting the show down. The show itself is wonderful. The actors themselves are probably wonderful people. But the working condition there was execrable. I'll take another question. Yes.
That's what you really think.
I like that.
They never gave you money to work with, that's why.
The question is, why do I think, and maybe Max, you can answer this too.
I think I know why Pell didn't come back. Do you know what? I think she couldn't stand the makeup. I don't think she wanted. I don't think she would have come back had she been in. I think she really, and it is tough. It is tough makeup. It's not, you know, it's really tough makeup. And she had a hard time. She had a hard time wearing it.
And you know about our first movie, also the same problem.
Andrea
Martin. Cecily, brilliant in this movie, but she was the second movie. The first movie, Andrea Martin, couldn't stand the makeup either. In fact, Renee, who was directing an episode that she was in, used all of his human skills to keep her. She was going to quit in the middle of the episode. It was too hard. When we tell you that makeup is difficult, it is. And she just couldn't take it. And God bless her, she's a star. They were paying her a lot of money to do it, more than most. And she said, I'm out of here. I can't do this. I can't do this. And she left, and Cecily came aboard.
You know, and to be fair, because I've run into females on Deep Space Nine and other science fiction shows who have said to me, you know, I don't want to do this much longer. And I said, why? You know, it's a nice job. It's a nice opportunity. But my skin is suffering from it. And, you know, females are more concerned with their, especially young females, more concerned with their faces. I've heard that a little bit, and maybe that has something to do with the way she felt about it.
Tomorrow, you might ask Roxanne the same question.
We're done. We're done.
Thank you. Thank you, Max.
Okay, head out that way. Go follow the blonde. Okay, were they fun? I always say it's better to have actors who like each other up on stage together. So much better show with the two of them than them by themselves. So I hope you all appreciate that. We're going to do our autograph lines in just a second. First thing is, everyone who gave blood today, or actually everybody who attempted to give blood today, because there are some of us that they wouldn't let us give blood. I tried, I would have, and I did last year, and I tried to be first in line, but I took